Many of the most well-known conspiracy theories of the past 2 decades, including 9/11, Bohemian Grove, Sandy Hook, Pizzagate, and the Oklahoma City bombing, got their start on one of the most controversial websites on the internet. Some consider the man behind these theories and owner of the website to be the father of modern conspiracy theories. Welcome to Let's Be Briefed. I'm Sydney.
I'm Sarah.
And this week, we're discussing Alex Jones. Do you know anything? What do you know about him?
I really don't know anything. I've heard of these things. I didn't know it was just him. Pizzagate's like ridiculous.
I don't think he, specifically came up with a lot of these, but he, definitely has a big following and talks about them a lot. So he just spread them more than other.
Okay, so he is more of like here's this that maybe I agree with.
Yeah. And I think he researches it a lot too.
Okay. So he didn't make them all up.
No, we'll get to some 9/11 he 100% made up.
Okay.
Bush did 9/11. Yeah.
All right. I'm okay.
Okay. And I will just start off by saying we do not personally agree with many of the views Alex Jones has. This is not an endorsement, and almost anything said during this episode should be considered alleged. I just felt that Alex Jones is a huge figure in the conspiracy world and would be worth talking about because many of the theories that got me interested in this topics were started by him or widely distributed, I guess, by him. I just didn't know that at the time. I know he has a lot of political affiliations and has said some very damaging things about a lot of communities, but we do not personally agree with his views on most things, nor do we support his political affiliations.
That's a good disclaimer. I agree.
Yeah. He's an alt-right, yeah, I know, and he said a lot of really bad things about the LGBTQ community, but unfortunately he's also said a lot of really true things that have been proven to be true, so I don't know. I don't support him. But
yeah, right. You could say true things and still be a piece of shit.
Right. You could be spreading important information and still be a bad person. And it's why wouldn't you just shut up? Why do these people always do this to themselves? That's what I don't get.
But isn't part of it because once you get so big, then you think you could say anything and no one can dispute or shut you down.
Well, and he's I guess known for being off the handle, if that makes sense. He's not off the handle, but he just says it like it is or how he thinks it is.
Oh. Okay, blunt and stuff.
Yeah.
Or he just doesn't give a shit about other people, I guess.
Right.
Is the thing,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm a little scared, but
no, I'm not even gonna cover the bad things that he said because they're not even worth repeating.
Yeah,
we won't get into that, but just know if you want to look into it, there are a lot of bad things, but I'd prefer not to give those views even any attention.
Yeah,
other than to say that we disagree and that they're pretty bad. Alex Jones was born in Dallas, Texas on February 11th, 1974. He was raised in Rockwell, Texas until his sophomore year of high school when his family moved to Austin, and he briefly attended Austin Community College, but he ended up dropping out. So he's a true-blooded Texan.
Yeah, I was nothing crazy there.
No.
He dropped out? What did he do? Did he major in
I
anything
have no idea.
before?
That was not on the Wikipedia. When he was like a teenager, I assume maybe after he graduated high school, he read a book called None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen, which is about how the government is ran by global bankers, which I assume means like the Rothschilds.
Yeah, probably.
And I guess the book had a really profound impact on him, and this was like the beginning of his interest in the New World Order Illuminati thing, and that was one of his biggest, like, first, like, he was just yammering about the New World Order all the time.
Wow. Okay. How did he not get, like, killed?
Dude, 'cause I think they just discredited him. Like, I think he was...
Yeah.
'Cause...
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, his career started on a call-in-style cable TV show in the Austin area, but he was then switched to being a radio host on a show called The Final Edition in 1996, which at that time he was 22. I feel like that's a good job for a 22-year-old.
Yeah, especially for, yeah, you don't need a college degree to be a radio host.
Right, but I thought that too. I was like, man, he didn't even have a degree and he's a radio host? Like, I would think communications or something, but this was also late 90s. This is before they pushed everyone to go to college for anything.
True. Like, you don't need to go to college for everything.
True. To talk? Maybe things would have been different if they did require that, but...
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we shouldn't be giving just anyone a platform.
Right, that's true. Well, but now everyone does, because you can just start anything online.
Right.
And it's not going to be regulated.
Right.
So.
In 1999, the Final Edition tied for Best Austin Radio Talk Show, which, how many were there? Like, I would like to know. Austin's still, like, people think it's big, but I want to say, like, Austin proper is under 1 million people. Like, it's not a huge city, and it's, like, it's smaller than San Antonio. Yeah. Like, it's not even top 3 biggest in Texas.
Right, but it's, like, the fastest growing still, right?
I think so.
But, yeah, it's not that big.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like they just have radio shows for everything, though. Like,
yeah, that's true.
They could have, like, 20. I don't know. Who knows?
But later that same year, he was fired for not broadening his topics, citing that the station was having a hard time getting ad sponsorships. And his, like, take on that was that, quote, "It was purely political and it came down from on high. I was told 11 weeks ago to lay off Bill Clinton, to lay off these politicians, to not talk about rebuilding the church, to stop bashing the Marines, A to Z." Which, you know, makes sense. If someone doesn't want him saying something, especially because Austin is the capital, like...
Right. And it's like, I don't know, like, it's a job still, like, it's you don't own it.
Right.
You can't just say anything you want.
Right.
You still have to, like, have the sponsors and your investment people and whatever.
Yeah, but I kind of support him for standing up for what he believes in.
And I also said, like, they just wanted him to broaden his topics, right? Not just...
No,
they tell him
the station said they wanted him to broaden his topics, but he said really they were mad at me because I wouldn't lay off the Clintons and the politicians. Kind of like censorship. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? Yeah. We know the Clintons were up to some dirty stuff, so...
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to censor things.
Yeah. Especially... I wish I knew more. There's... Like, a lot of people around the Clintons have died, just saying. Like, they're known for...
Yeah.
I wish I had specific examples, but I think the only one I have is, oh, what was the guy who flew the plane? Do you know what I'm talking about? Barry something.
I don't know his name. Yeah.
And mysteriously died. I don't know. Anyway, not super important. Maybe that's one I should do. Oh, but now I can't remember. I was just talking about him with one of my coworkers who's really into planes.
Oh, yeah, that
He
guy.
said, he said,
Well, you could get it again.
yeah, we were talking about someone supposedly having committed suicide, but it was like clearly, I said the worst case of suicide anyone's ever seen. He shot himself in the back of the head. Uh,
Yeah, that
yeah,
seems pretty
and
clear
they said just
that it
like,
could not
what
be.
is his name? Barry. I wish I knew, but we were talking about it anyway. Um, After leaving the radio station, he began to broadcast his view on the internet. InfoWars was originally started as a mail order service for conspiracy-related videos, but in 2001, he like had a talk show that was like put out to like about 100 radio stations. So they would
Oh,
kind of
wow.
like, so like, you know, like there's stations that all have the same radio show on them just across the country.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That quickly, how he was able to. I guess he knew people from working.
Yeah. And like that was like early age internet too. So I
Yeah.
feel like if I could go back in time, the one thing I would do differently is like start a dumb YouTube channel at
Yeah.
like in
Or a
a
blog.
blog or a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
because some of these people's blogs and YouTube channels sucked, and they are still famous for it because there was just not much
Right.
content.
Right. If you could get big early on, then you're just like it doesn't really matter what else you put out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess just to kind of show the reach InfoWars has, in 2016 it had 10 million visits. I thought that was monthly, but it was for the whole year, which was more than Newsweek and The Economist. So like
Oh, wow.
he has reach.
Yeah. That's crazy.
One of his most like well-known conspiracy theories was that like the 9/11 attacks were an inside job, and on September 11th, 2001, Jones claimed that there was a 98% chance that the Bush administration was behind the attacks, and he became one of the biggest supporters for the 9/11 truthers movement, which I agree with this one. I don't want to be that person, but if you look at like America's history of like false flags and involvement in foreign countries tied to what they had to gain from doing all of it, like
Yeah.
unfortunately it does make sense.
Right. But him saying it on the day that it
He
happened was kind
also,
of
but he,
like,
do you know what? Before anyone knew who did it or what happened, he also said that they were going to blame it on Osama bin Laden and the Taliban. Like, he said that on that day before anyone had ever, because they didn't know who did it at first.
right, yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's why we went to war, right? To get oil and stuff too,
And
so.
something, I think
And all the security stuff.
heroin poppies, I think. Opium poppies.
Yeah. Plus all the extra security and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is for your safety.
Right, but it's just control. Wasn't the Patriot Act
Yeah.
from 9/11 too? That basically said that they can watch, like all the NSA stuff stemmed from 9/11.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
And at this point, he's basically been removed from every single social media platform for hate speech. And this is just my personal opinion, but like after hearing about how Twitter handled the whole COVID situation, to me that like only further credits him to anyone who already believes what he's saying. And I
Yeah.
personally believe in free speech and am not huge on social media censorship. It's kind of up to people to do their own research and form their own opinions And I think a lot of social media companies are taking away the ability from the people to do that.